write down your friend's phone number on your arm and on a piece of paper and bring that out with you. If you're showing up to volunteer at a march, such as a peacekeeper or a marshal, wear like a bright neon identifying form, and sometimes the march will tell you what color to wear or provide the things for you to wear. But that's just kind of one of the things the peacekeepers do to be identifiable, is wearing bright neon colors and such like that. You should wear running sneakers. Don't wear like platform shoes or sandals or like anything like that, because like I said, even if you plan on having the most peaceful day, nobody knows what's going to happen. And if you have to start running, or if someone needs your assistance, you don't want to be like stumbling around in your dope platforms and high heels and stuff. So wear some good shoes that you can run around in. Try not to wear anything like loose that an attacker or officer can grab on you. Like if you wear like large necklaces or bracelets or dangly objects, those could become things that the police can use to pull you in and obtain you more easily. And counter people can also use those if they really want to try to harm you. So try to wear clothing that can't be grabbed too easily, and try not to wear too much jewelry that can make you grabbable. Recommend bringing a backpack with a supply of water, some like light snacks like granola bars and stuff, and like imagine that worst case scenario, you might be sitting in a police precinct overnight if anything happens. So bring water and some granola bars. And if you take any kind of medication, or if you have any kind of like ailments or anything, you should bring backup of all that kind of stuff with you when you go out, because you want to be able to take care of yourself if you end up in any kind of compromised situation of any kind, So also I recommend, they sell these cool fanny packs that are like elastic and it's like really small, and they like hold tight to your body. They're for like joggers and stuff. So these cool elastic fanny packs, you can get them at like the sporting goods section of most department stores or anything like that. But those are great because if you're going out to like a rally or an event, if the shit hits the fan, you want to have your ID, your phone, your medicine, anything that you really need in your fanny pack, so that if the shit hits the fan, you got to ditch your backpack. There's nothing truly vital in your backpack aside from food and water and whatever, but you want to keep all your essentials in like a fanny pack on you, in case you got to ditch it. I've almost had to ditch this backpack twice in the past couple months, but the fanny packs are super cool, and they're just like cool and flashy. Okay, so moving along. So if you're going to be on the front line at a protest, which is something personally, that's where I tend to put myself in these kind of protest situations. Frontline allyship is something that's really getting like redeveloped right now. There's like, it's kind of been reserved for anti-fascists and heavy hitter type people in the past, where the radicals would be up front and all blacked out and prepared for conflict, whether it's with police or counter protesters. But these days, we saw beautifully in like Manhattan, a lot of just normal people who whether they know to wear black or not, they've been just really pulling up and being frontline allies. And like, we've had a really cool movement of this call for like white allies to the front and the perimeter, which has been going on. And so non-white people are far more in danger by the police and counter-protesters in all these situations. So if you want to be a really good ally and put your privilege to work, you put your body on the front line, the perimeter, in the back, and you create a safe space for Black, Indigenous, people of color leadership to have its rallies, and to make their voice heard. So but this goes for anybody. I mean, this isn't only going to white people, but it's been good to see more white people and not just anarchists and whatever pull up to the front lines and put their bodies there. And like when we were in New York City, I saw like really awesome like allyship of like a row 6 people deep, like 20 feet long, 6 people deep of allies protecting people from face-to-face conflict with police officers and stuff like that. And I think a lot of these were newly activated people. I didn't get the vibe like everybody was a seasoned activist or anything, but it was just people that are saying, hey, like, I'm going to create a wall of safety here so these people can, express themselves and we can do this, So the frontline allies are something that are really important right now, I think, because we have a lot of counter-protesters pulling up, and obviously the police are never really safe for activists to really be, especially activists of color, to be encountering. So if you are a frontline ally, it is recommended that you wear pretty much everything all black. You might get confused as an anarchist if you're not, but it's okay. It's a risk worth taking, because if you are doing frontline work and you are going to end up maybe protecting people from the police or counter-protesters who intend to harm anybody, you honestly don't want to be identifiable by your clothing, your tattoos, a lot of things, so you want to get like blacked out from head to toe. And to be a really effective and to protect yourself as a frontline ally, you want to be a part of a mass of people all wearing the same color, so that when the shit hits the fan, if the police come in and beat the living shit out of everybody, then you can blend into a crowd of people who are also all blacked out. And if the police want to try to hold anybody accountable for, assault on a police officer or assault on a counter demonstrator who came to assault somebody and you're protecting them, if you are all blacked out and you're doing that frontline work, you can protect people, and then once you've done that protection work, you can disappear into the crowd. You change your clothes, you bring a change of clothes also in your backpack. It's a good idea where, go from all black to wearing like bright ass colors and stuff. And so if things get really funky, you do your allyship work, and it's very likely you've been filmed, whether it's by police or fellow protesters or whatever. So you want to also then disperse back into the crowd or into a safe place and change your clothes after anything funky has happened, because the police will try to find a way to, demonize you for doing that frontline work. But also, you don't have to go that route. You can just put yourself in your regular clothes there and just be a frontline ally and just say, I'm here to create a safe space for people. And, even if you don't want to engage counter-protesters or police, you can just do all that in your regular clothes. You don't have to get all blacked out. But if you want to protect your identity, if things get weird, getting blacked out is a good move. Now, depending on the scale and intensity of the protest, I also recommend having a black baseball helmet. Another good move is to buy a soccer shin guard. I'll show you. I got a couple of things here. So here's a good thing. You can just buy this, wrap your head and your face in it, cover your identity up. You're gonna want to have some chemical splash goggles on you if you're at a large demonstration, and even be prepared with the small ones, because you never know when they're gonna break out pepper spray or tear gas. Respirator, you want to have these on you. Change your filters in between stuff. What else we got? Then some black gloves in case you want to return some tear gas back to our lovely police officer friends. You want to have some good gloves for that, and just any kind of stuff that might injure you. Some good gloves is good. So yeah, this is the shin guard, which comes in really handy. I've been hit with police batons a handful of times in my life, and it's you will regret not throwing one of these on. You just take a shin guard, usually comes with a plastic thing, and then a nylon joint. And then basically, you just want to have this on, and so if the police break out the batons, your natural instinct is to use your non-dominant hand to protect yourself, and you can receive the blows from police or anybody with a little added protection that might save you a broken arm or some serious fractures and injuries. Then a good baseball helmet. You want to get it all blacked out, try to get rid of the logos and stuff if you're really doing the frontline stuff. But I really do recommend rocking these shin guards if you're at an event that you think things might get funky at. So essentially then, yeah, got kind of a personal first aid kit. You can buy one at the store. Doesn't hurt to have one on you in case you get separated from the crowd at any point or anything weird happens. You can also provide aid to other people that you might be with who have been separated in that case as well. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. You got your black backpack, which is always good. So again, you're not identifiable. So that kind of is the attire for frontline and like anti-fascist allyship. There's some more training and there's some more stuff we can offer about that as we go on. Also, when you go out, develop a plan with your friends. You're gonna want to have like a small kind of like affinity group is what it's called. Everyone takes on like different responsibilities. You want to have somebody that is your buddy within the group, so that if one of you is arrested, your buddy is kind of responsible for following up with you at the precinct or just watching your back throughout the whole rally in case anything gets weird. So it's always good to have a buddy that you can buddy up with. If you come to the protest alone, try to make a connection there. You know, don't be sketchy and try to get to know too much about a person right away, but like be like, hey, you know, riding solo here looking for a buddy, and you can kind of build like a network there of at least having somebody who knows to look out for you if the things get funky. Also, it's important to buddy up and escort each other back to your car or the train station or wherever you might be at the end of the event. Sometimes counter-protesters and police like to try to wait until people are vulnerable by themselves or, you know, to try to, you know, harm or, you know, cause legal conflict for people. So always bring a buddy, make a buddy, go back to your car with a buddy. Okay. Also, if you see a person of color being arrested alone and they don't have their buddies with them or they don't have a team with them, you should not only go, you know, right there and film their arrest, provide support, get their name, and if you really want to be a really strong ally, you should find a way to get arrested alongside them. You know, don't do anything crazy to get arrested alongside them, but you know, if you want to find a way to you can basically just ask to be arrested with them. Sometimes that works. Other times you might have to maybe lay on the floor and become an obstruction. And then you can become an ally to that person who is vulnerable in police custody. You'll likely be processed in the same place, so you can provide allyship in that way as the processing goes on. So, you know, keep an eye out for non-white people when they're dealing with the police and be a good ally, you know, film it. Be right there, get their name, ask if they have anyone that they want you to call about the situation they're in and stuff like that as well. This goes for all activists, honestly, but, you know, especially we got to look out for vulnerable people. So, moving along. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit into your rights as a protester in case nobody, you know, it's not something you always think about is like how where your rights totally fit into everything. Essentially, strongest are in public forums, streets, sidewalks, and parks. You have the right to speak. You know, even government plazas, you are safe to protest at, safe to speak at. Private property is obviously a different story, so you don't want to, you know, try to get away with you know, protests aren't legal, you know, on private property. So if there is an action going on that's on private property, make sure everyone is doing the work to figure out how to do that, like, safely and understand that you're, you know, risking arrest. So you also have the right to photograph anything and the police that is in plain view at protests and such. You want to respect other protesters' privacy. You know, don't be, you know, just filming. If you're filming, make sure it's for a reason. You're documenting something important, or you can black out people's faces or try to respect their identity. There have been instances of activists being targeted by, you know, being seen taking positions within protests and stuff by whether the police or, you know, white supremacists and otherwise. So try to remember when you're filming and stuff to try to respect people's identities. Don't get too much footage from the front and stuff. You don't need a permit to march in the streets or on the sidewalks, as long as you're not obstructing traffic too heavily. Essentially, if you don't have a permit, you're marching in the street, the police can tell you to get off the street if you're obstructing traffic. If traffic can be navigated, you still can occupy the street, but it's really up to how much the police really want to go hard on you about it. Like, once they give the first warning that you have to get off the street due to traffic, you, from that point on, like, risk them ordering you to disperse. Once they issue the order to disperse is when it gets really funky, because if you do not disperse, that's when the batons, tear gas, use of force comes out on their side, and that use of force is technically allowed, you know, on their side of the table once they give that dispersion order. So you are within your rights to march in the streets and on the sidewalks and etc., but do pay attention to when they're saying that you're obstructing traffic, and pay close attention to when they're doing dispersal orders, because that's usually what precedes some pretty intense police force. And also, while you're doing all this, make sure you are like honoring the leadership of the rally, like whoever organized it, what the goal of the march is, because if people are taking the streets and that is like led by organizers who have made that the intention, you know, follow suit with them and don't do anything that kind of steps outside the bounds of the intention of that march, because you then can endanger the leadership of the march and other people by not respecting the intents of it, you know. So if you want to do some wild stuff, organize your own wild protests and do that, you know, but don't show up to a legal nonviolent rally and start trying to incite conflict or acting out of bounds, because you put other people in danger. So if your rights have been violated at a protest, write down everything you remember, including the officer's badge number, patrol car numbers, who they work for, what department they're from. Get contact information from witnesses, take photos of any injuries. Once you have all this stuff, you can file a complaint thereafter with the Internal Affairs or Civilian Complaint Board of wherever this happened. So, if you are stopped by the police while protesting, one of the most important things is to ask if you're under arrest. That's the first thing, because if you are under arrest, they have to tell you what for. They're not allowed to just arrest you and say, you're under arrest because you're under arrest. You know, it's just like not how it goes, and you have to know your rights and be adamant about the fact that you know that they cannot arrest you without stating what law you've broken or what crime you're suspected of, you know, committing. So while you're dealing with the police, stay calm, keep your hands visible, don't argue, resist, or obstruct them. Even if you think they're violating your rights, you know, these people come out on top most of the time, and you know, as much as you might be experiencing injustice, you know, a physical reaction to it could end up in an assault on an officer charge coming at you. So, unfortunately, you do have to stay really calm, and you kind of do have to submit. And if you don't want to, you know, fucking A, but, you know, I recommend being very weary of, you know, acting out while the police are dealing with you, because they generally do what they want, and they come out on top. If you are dealing with them, also try to point out that you're expressing your amendment rights and that you're not disrupting anything. And if they can't tell you what you're disrupting or what you're doing wrong, you continue to stay in the right. So you can ask questions, ask what you're under arrest for. You can even argue, but don't do anything physical. Don't even allude to, like, you know, physical, you know, contact with them, because they will just rock you if they think that you're any kind of threat to them. Ask if you're free to leave. That's the next thing, is if you say, am I under arrest for something? What is it? You know, what crime is it? Then whatever they say, if they say, you then ask, am I free to leave? And if he says yes, or he or she or they or them, calmly walk away. If you are under arrest, you have the right to ask why. Otherwise, remain silent and ask for a lawyer immediately. Don't say anything or sign anything without a lawyer. You have the right to make a local phone call, and if you're calling your lawyer, police are not allowed to listen. You never have to consent to a search of yourself or your belongings. If you do explicitly consent, it can affect you later in court. Police may pat down your clothing if they suspect you have a weapon, and may search you after an arrest. Police officers may not confiscate or demand to view your photographs or video without a warrant, nor may they delete data under any circumstances. However, they may order citizens to cease activities that are truly interfering with legitimate law enforcement operations. So again, if you're dealing with the police, just remember, if you felt your rights were violated, or if you caught a charge, make sure you write down everything you experienced. If you see anything happen to anyone else, make sure you write down everything that you saw happen, and be able to be a witness for those people as best you can. So, getting through this here, the next thing is marshals, which is an important thing, and I hope some people here today might be interested in it, because this Saturday we do need marshals and peacekeepers in Pleasant Valley, and marshals are not security. So if you're wearing the marshal vest and you're helping us, provide a fluid march, the marshal is not there to, do security. You're not like a bouncer. You're not a police, internal police officer or anything like that. A marshal is essentially just a volunteer protester who is willing to help facilitate the fluidity and safety of the march. So, marshals will wear neon vests like this often, or like identifying armbands or hats. This Saturday we will be providing a bunch of these to volunteers. And essentially, if you're marshaling, like, all we really are asking of marshals is to know the protest route, and we need front marshals, left and right marshals, and back marshals. And we had a bunch of lovely comrades donate money so we could buy a bunch of walkie-talkies. So marshals this Saturday will be provided with walkie-talkies, and what we'll do is just basically use these to keep in touch in the front and the back of the line. This way we have communication between the marshals, and then the marshals can also inform the protesters, activists, and allies of anything they might need to know as we're marching. So if you're interested in marshaling, it really is just holding the perimeter as a volunteer, watching intersections as we move through, different parts of the city, and essentially you just want to hang out and move the march along, hold traffic if traffic is coming up. If you also will be providing whistles to all the marshals, they're all, sealed and stuff, so they're safe and everything. These whistles will be used to signal any kind of conflict or need of attention. So if there is any threat to anyone's well-being, or if somebody has fainted, or just any kind of emergency or need for attention, the marshals will have these whistles to draw attention over to the place that needs attention. We're going to use the walkie-talkies to keep marshals informed of how things are going up front, how things are going in back, left and right. And also, if you're just showing up as a protester, activist, you can ask marshals any questions you might have. They are the closest to the organizers who are facilitating the march and protests and stuff. So, like I said, essentially marshaling is just keeping things moving along as we march. If there are counter-protesters, we ask that marshals, if you're willing to, the counter-protesters might want to yell stuff at us, we might want to yell back at them. This Saturday, we are actually really recommending that people do not engage the counter-protesters whatsoever. It's a little crazy this Saturday because we've received kind of threats of people who will saying they're going to drive through the march and stuff like that. We have already dealt with the police about this, and we will have a police escort at this rally on Saturday. So there will be officers leading in cars in front and behind the march. We have the streets pretty much shut down for most of it, so there really isn't a huge risk that anyone is actually going to do this. They're probably trying to threaten us and scare us. Don't let it scare you away. Be a strong ally, push forward, show up with us. But, the marshals essentially, if you see a protester from our side getting drawn into an argument with a counter-protester, because everyone loves to, yell at each other and stuff, but we could do that more in the future, but, there's going to be a lot of counter-protesters, it seems, this Saturday, so we are asking that you really ignore these people and just let them do their thing on the other side of the street. We are actually not even marching near where they're going to be because we really don't want any conflict and to put anybody in danger. So If you are interested in marshaling, we're going to have a little thing at the end of this, a little contact group, so we can get everybody set up for tomorrow night's Marshall Zoom meeting. And then Saturday, we'll have marshals meeting up before the rally to be prepared for the rally. So, yeah, and essentially, there's a couple things that as marshals we're, asking that if you're willing to kind of create like a human chain, if it seems like anyone is, under any kind of threat, or if it seems like people are going to get into it, try to, whether you're an activist or a marshal, put yourself in between there, try to calm our side down and tell them keep moving, because we really just cannot afford to have anybody get hurt at this event or future ones, But it is a little more, important, as we seem to have a pretty decent amount of opposition this Saturday, that we don't engage them at all. And there's going to be hella police there, which I know we all don't love the police, but this time around they're actually escorting us for our safety. And so we're also asking that this Saturday that nobody engage the police too negatively. We're going to be chanting about defunding the police. You can, bring your ACAB signs. It's all good. But we do not want to, yell at or agitate these police that are providing us security this Saturday, just because it just feels a little touchy. And, as much as, we're here to talk about policing on a large scale, we're not here to yell at Officer Joe on a Saturday or whatever, but we can do that all in the future. I just think for everyone's safety, we should try to just not even engage the police and allow them to escort us without any conflict this week. I'm gonna call up my comrade Brady, if you are prepared. Brady is a fellow ally, frontline activist, organizer in the area. Got some experience to share, and we'll pass it off.
Hi guys, I'm Brady. I go by Jack sometimes. Doesn't really matter to me what you call me. Pronouns are he, him, they. That's cool. I've been doing frontline activism stuff in the area and a bunch of other places for like 10 years, I guess now. I guess Kevin touched a lot about stuff. I can follow up a little bit on some stuff too about affinity groups. It's always important to go to these things with at least a buddy, maybe with a couple other people too, trusting people. Everyone's got their own size that they're able to keep track of at events. I think 5 for me is a good number to keep track on for people, because it's always good to have an extra set of eyes, extra set of hands, another brain, multiple of these things in your group as much as possible. But then you start to lose people in the fray. When things start to break down, if you have 10 people that you're in your squad, you'll lose 4 of them. So it's good to have smaller groups that are easily manageable for you and your comrades. And if you have 10 people, it's fine to have each other's contact information, but then split up into different groups. Maybe have roles for everybody. Not everybody needs to have their phone. For what Kevin said too, it's easy to track people. It's easy to get data from people. Police have been known to use things called stingrays, which are basically fake cell phone towers that they have flying in the sky, that basically all of your phone data will go to, and they'll have that. So it's important to, like Kevin said, have a burner phone, have a backup SIM card, because it is important to have your phone in case you get lost and you need to contact people. But at the same time, you don't want to make it easy for the police to find out your information, find out what you're doing, because they can track you too when you just have it. They have that capability. So it's important to do that. If you have anybody who is going to have their phone and they're going to be the ones documenting, let them have that capability, let them have that role, and you can focus on what you have to do in the street at the moment. No one has to be taking pictures. Not everybody has to do that. Because it's only just going to go on your Facebook, and then for what reason? Let's see here. if you do have a phone and there's capabilities that you can even make your own walkie-talkie using like Bluetooth and microphone things on speaker. So then like somebody could have that on, and then the speaker, like the audio is coming in through their microphone, and then you can hear it. Like if you have earplugs, you can have somebody in another part of the march, and you can be over here, and you can start gathering. You can hear and get a sense of what's happening in the rest of the march while you're not actually there. That's something that I've heard done. They have apps on marketplaces. They might be free, but you can also probably just like kind of hack your way into getting one. And it's just apps for police scanners, so you'll have access to like what the radio chatter is from the cops right there at the protest. One of my comrades at the one in Poughkeepsie had that capability, so he was able to relay information about like what the cops are doing, where they're mobilizing while we're at the march. And that's always good information to have because they don't expect you to really do that. I guess prior to COVID, masking up was kind of something that was reserved for mostly the militant radicals at protests, and we all usually got demonized for wearing masks. Like, now we're obstructing our identity, and we're usually on the front lines getting involved in something that's particularly not within the realms of legality sometimes. But now with COVID, it's more important than ever to wear masks because you don't want to spread the plague. But it's also now it's awesome. It's awesome because now everyone's wearing masks. We don't have to deal with that discussion about why we're all wearing masks. It's pretty apparent now. And on some level, it definitely probably freaks out the cops because now everybody that they're dealing with are wearing masks, and it's hard for them to see who we are. So I'm sure on their level, they're like freaked out about it, but it saves us a little bit of a trouble. And then basically the reasons for wearing masks outside of COVID are just security reasons. It's easy to see your face. They have facial recognition technology, so like they can bridge your nose, your eyes, your eyebrows, your lips, everything. Your ears too is important to cover up too, especially even when you're dealing with like chemical weapons. Like it's not just your eyes; it's like exposed skin surfaces. So like the cartilage of your nose, the cartilage of your ears, like your eyelids, things like that. They start to burn when you get exposed to stuff like that. So it's good to have that covered up. The goggles are important for mace, especially. And again, like matching clothes is good because it totally obscures who everyone is. I know there's going to be a talk about like pepper spray and tear gas at some point, so I'm not going to touch too much on that. It's pretty easy to make your own flushing for your eyes for pepper spray. I don't know if anyone's going to touch on LRAD, but that's a sound weapon that's pretty bad. That's not something easily counterable. Earbuds don't really do much. And then I think I'll have more to say when we break out into like smaller groups.
Okay.
You know, because I think there's going to be a breakout session where people can like throw their 2 cents on what they think they want to do. And I'll have more to speak, I guess, on the front line part, I guess, about that. But I don't know who's going to be next.
Thank you, Brady. Okay, so I just wanted to shout out. At the end of this, Brady and I will be leading a kind of contact group for anyone who wants to get more involved in frontline work. And so when this little session is done, we'll form in like little contact circles so we can all, stay organized and make contacts where we want to make contacts. Okay. Yeah. So I want to do a quick self-defense demonstration. I don't know, self-defense training is something we should all kind of just do anyway. You can look at it on YouTube, it's pretty easy, but just for simple purposes, I'll show you a couple of quick moves that are really good in case a counter-protester wants to come start any trouble with you. So Ozzy, I'm going to ask you to just try to come at me with a push, and I'm going to deflect it, and we'll do it a couple times just to show how it goes. So the move with deflecting a push from somebody is you prepare for their push to come out, they're kind of like that. So you prepare by going in toward the center, kind of like dive in, and deflect outward. So if someone's doing a push, you dive in and deflect out. You know, I'll just demonstrate once or twice more. Oh, puppy. Hey. So yeah, so that's a really good deflection thing. Like I said, kind of dive in, push out, think fast. If you get into that moment with a person, because obviously the conflict may not stop there, I'll show you just a quick move. This is all self-defense, so none of this is about fighting or about harming anybody. This is about how to protect yourself, and then probably just try to fucking, you know, book it after that. But so just one more time. Excuse me. So when you have that moment, you have an opportunity to get somebody in the crotch, you got an opportunity to get them in the ribs, and you also have an opportunity to even deliver your own push and try to get out of there. So that's one thing. If someone's coming at you with the push, it's probably the most common, you know, first type of assault that might happen from a counter-protester. So that's a move. I'll show you another thing. If somebody wants to come throw a punch at you, it's just like simple, you know, simple stuff. Anyway, so basically, you presume that the person coming at you that's coming at you is right-handed. That's generally, like, I think, you know, more frequent a thing. So if someone is coming at you, you lean back and you deflect away from you. So just show that a couple more times. It's fun, and I would recommend practicing this with a friend or somebody, you know, just because you'd rather have that done a couple times before anything ever, you know, comes at you like that in any situation. So that's pretty much it. You just want to, you know, presume that they're swinging right first and deflect away from you. One more thing I'll show is that if somebody grabs you by the hands, there's a kind of a technique that you can do to like release yourself from their grip, and also just kind of, you know, defend yourself so you can get out of the situation you're in. So somebody's got you by the wrists like this. The first thing you want to do is twist. You want to twist like in and away. And so if someone's pulling you, you like that. So if someone's pulling on you, you twist, turn, and like get your like cut down like that. So it's like that. And then at that point you can also like get somebody there or knee them in the crotch or, you know, something like that. So do one more. You know, one more time. So that's the thing, just kind of get out of there like that. Oh yeah. So yeah, that's the move with that. You can go up and like YouTube, you know, simple self-defense and stuff and practice this stuff, but I just figured this would be a good part of training, you know. I think there was one more. Oh yeah, so there's one more thing is that if somebody tries to grapple with you, there's another way to release yourself from a grapple. So yeah, like this. Let's say we're tussling, we can like get in like that. We're in like this. You can also try to like get somebody down, or at least also you can use a similar method of like trying to get out like that. But you don't want to get down too much ever. You want to stay up. So you can get like that, get somebody. It's really about like releasing yourself and then delivering a blow to like give you a moment to get out of there or whatever, you know? Yeah. So I think that's pretty much some of the basic self-defense training type stuff. Thank you, Ozzy, comrade, for doing that. So yeah, so, you know, hopefully you never have to use that type of stuff, but, you know, in these times it's better to be, you know, more prepared than not when it comes to these things. So I'm going to ask a representative from the Street Medic crew. I know we got some Street Medic gang. This is James. Welcome, James. And yeah, they're going to talk a little bit about street medic work. And you know, at the end, if you have any interest, grab these guys and talk to them.
Don't forget to sanitize. Hi everyone, my name's James. I am a trained EMT, and I'm going to talk to you guys really quickly about just very basic stuff that you might encounter during a protest. I've been to a bunch of protests, either up here, which are for the most part really peaceful, but I've been to some like fairly sketchy ones down in the city, and there's just like basic stuff that I think everyone here knows about tear gas and being maced and such. Real quick show of hands, has anyone here ever been maced? Anyone here ever been exposed to tear gas in any way? Okay, so real quick, as you've all seen, hopefully, because it is something important to see, the police have been using tear gas and mace as forms of violent countermeasures to protests. And one of the most important things to know, especially as a medic, but also as a person who's going to a direct action, is to know for yourself if you're comfortable being there. Don't have that internal energy to go to a direct action knowing that, okay, there might be a problem. And if you are not comfortable with that emotionally, stay in the back, or maybe sit this one out. But knowing that and knowing you're going in there, that confidence will help you get out of a situation that you are emotionally prepared for. And going forward towards tear gas, I think I have some water with me. Marvin, can I have my bag, please? Actually, before we even get to that, so street medics are... And this is Marvin. Marvin is also a street medic. Even getting into that before I show you guys how to diffuse mace and tear gas from a person's body, when you're going to protest and you believe that there may be a problem, or at least going to protest in general, knowing where the enforcers are, knowing where the people there are protected, but also keeping an eye out for medics. Usually medics show themselves by having like a red cross emblazoned on them somewhere. Like I have a bag that has red all over it, and when I go to protest as a medic, I keep a red cross on me so people know for any emergency situation. We're not just talking like, tear gas and police brutality. We're also talking about people having heat stroke, people having seizures, people having like diabetic emergencies, people having any form of emergency, whether it's, having an emotional breakdown. Being a first responder and a medical first responder, the most important thing is emotional support. Clearly, easily, the first thing you always have to do is, establish emotional support. And as someone who's going to a protest and wants to be supportive of people around them, knowing that the first thing isn't jumping into action. Being there for someone who is losing it or not, not really capable of processing what's going on, helps build morale and helps keep everything going smooth. So if you are, also if you guys are interested in learning more about street medics, myself, Marvin, and my comrade Sarah are going to be starting trainings. I believe I'm the easiest one to get in contact with, so you can just tap me at the end of this. But keeping an eye out for street medics in case you see someone else having an issue, or you yourself are having one, knowing where they are, being able to, ask for medic, keeping your hand up. Is really important, and it's really helpful because we don't know, in a crowd of 3,000 people, we have no idea where the first emergency is. Going from there, workings of tear gas and mace. Tear gas being expelled, when I was exposed to it, you don't even know that it's happening. All of a sudden you see it coming out and it blows with the wind. If you see tear gas being deployed and you're away from it, try to get as further downwind or just away as quickly as possible. If you are interested in staying in for the action, Kevin was showing off chemical glasses. What I recommend to do with those glasses when you do get them is seal them with tape going all the way around. You don't want any form of air to get in. It's going to be like hot and heavy in there, but like, trust me, it will save your eyes, which is, really important. Keeping a respirator on, even keeping a double mask if you see, and there are people in the crowd that are watching for these things that will be able to tell you what's going on. But having seen someone go through it, like knowing quickly how to respond to it, the easiest thing to deal with tear gas and mace is just water. I know that there are lots of products out there, people, asking to put milk magnesia in water, putting milk in general. I highly don't recommend putting any of that in your water if you are going to a direct action and you suspect there might be a problem with, excessive force. You don't know if someone's allergic to it. And that is one of the biggest things. Being an EMT, you learn to ask people about their allergies, but you're not going to have time to ask someone as their tears are streaming, their face is red, they're screaming, if they're allergic to milk of magnesia. It's not likely, it's possible. So I recommend using water, or actually, my friends will have more alternative options. I'm only speaking from just traditional EMT medicine. I do not have the training in holistic medicine, but they do, and they will help you if that is something you're more comfortable with, which is probably cooler and better. But if you are approaching someone who has been tear gassed, ask them to get down or maced. And the way you're going to want to approach them is you want to remove anything from them. Also, if you're going to a protest that might result in action, do not wear contacts. I was doing jail service in New York City, and we had people coming out of the jails who had been gassed, and the things that tear gas does to your contacts, it's terrible. I'm not trying to scare you, just wear glasses if you have them, or don't go blind, but I'm blind without my glasses, so it's not bad. Anyway, you want to, move the person to a place that you can safely take care of them. Don't try to perform like any first aid in the middle of an action. Get them out, because there are people that are moving, there are people trying to stampede past you, whether they want to or not. So get them away to a safe space and say, get them on the floor, try to calm them down first and foremost before you just start touching them. If you can, if it seems appropriate, definitely ask for consent for touching someone. You don't know, after something intense is going on, whether they want to be touched or not. But definitely, identify yourself to let them, feel comfortable, because emotional support is the most important support in times of stress like that. So I'm going to, if I think of water. Kevin, do you mind if I spray you with water? In my medic bag, I keep bottles of water and snacks, because people do often out protesting for hours forget to drink water and hydrate and snacks. So keeping that on yourself. People, children, teenagers going through like heat stroke, you want to give them not heat stroke, but heat exhaustion, giving them water and such. But also keeping your glasses taped and sealed. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I'm really bad at public speaking.
Stop it! Stop freaking out!
So you definitely want to identify someone, and this is real easy practice to say, hey, are you okay? Like, can I touch you? Removing any obstructions from the face and from the eyes. And with tear gas and mace, they both interact with your subcutaneous glands. Yes, they interact with your glands essentially, and they cause a burning through irritation. Tear gas is actually a powder; it's not a liquid, and you want to get this powder away from your face and extremities as quickly as possible. To note, I don't know if you guys should check out any videos on tear gas removal and such. They're incredibly helpful.
We also do have a chemical specialist who will be following this demonstration as well. So you can hear more about that from them, and then also talk to them further as well.
Yeah, I wish I'd known that before I started this. Cool. Shit. So one of the more important things is to get the drainage to go away from their body as much as possible. Because it is activated by water, if you do get tear gassed or any form of chemical irritant put upon you, when you go home, you want to discard your clothing immediately. And when you're taking a shower or such to get it off of you, tilt your face away from it, because it'll get stuck in your hair, it'll be stuck all over you. you definitely want it to wash out from your body. And I don't mean to be graphic, but from people in jail support telling me this themselves and knowing how it works, you definitely don't want to get anywhere near your lower body parts because it will burn. It will not stop burning. So leading back, you're going to want to get a clear vision of someone's eyes, and then you're going to want to begin spraying the water from here, and getting it to trickle down. Give a person a moment to breathe, ask them if they're okay. They want to blink it out as much as possible, but make sure they don't touch their face. One of the most important things is to not touch your face, because then you have it in your hands, you touch another part of your body, you touch your eyes again, the whole process starts over again. This is just for you and for the person you're talking to. Definitely keeping calm and letting them know. And then rinsing and repeating several times so the person's able to see it. And then once you do clear it, it clears very quickly. It's just terrible in the moment. Moving on from just tear gas and mace and such. Has anyone, raise your hand if you've ever seen someone have a seizure.
What?
Oh wow, that's cool.
What was the question?
Okay, so the most important thing while dealing with, no, sorry, that's not great. Well, it's good, it's important to know, important to see. When watching someone have a seizure, the most important thing is you want to clear a space around them, because they become a danger to themselves as well as people around them. And people trying to hold someone or touch them during such will also, assist in causing an injury. And I have seen it happen at a protest before. It does happen. But making sure that you are aware of how to handle that, especially for emotional support, is the most important part. Seeing someone have a seizure, you definitely want to clear a space around them and then provide head support. And that's realistically all you can do aside from then once the seizure goes away, providing neck, head, back support and moving them away from the area, and then getting them to a proper medic, or, if the action is appropriate, calling 911 to get them emergency medical attention. Because during the hot summer months, it is possible, and making sure that keeping people safe is everyone's responsibility and not just the medic's responsibility. People going through heat exhaustion, definitely placing them down on the ground, making sure that they are conscious, but providing neck support and clearing a space for people. Having people on top of you while you're going through an emergency is absolutely terrible. And if anyone here has ever done it, it doesn't feel great having people, pawing at you, standing on top of you. Clearing space, providing water, making sure the person is coherent, and if they're not, getting them to another safe space further away from where they are, getting the medical attention, asking for a medic, or if you need to, calling 911. Watching videos, I'm not going to do it here today, but we're going to be doing our own trainings. They'll be providing information on how to stop bleeding, how to provide support for head trauma, how to provide for basic first aid that anyone, even without a medical bag, can perform. But if you don't get to do that, make sure you watch videos on how to treat tear gas, mace, treat for seizures and heat exhaustion, just as for protest security for yourself and for others. And then I think I'm going to turn it over to Sarah, or if she is here. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Thank you, James. Appreciate the work you do and all your comrades. Once again, if you have any interest in keeping up with these future medic trainings, becoming a street medic yourself, you can tag James at the end of the event. We're going to be wrapping up pretty soon, just so you all know. Got one or two more things to say, and then we're going to just allow people to freely make connections with the speakers that they would like to make connections with and such. What did I have to say? I had something to say. Oh, well, while we were on it, we have a trained chemical specialist here, homie Sam from the Socialist Rifle Association. Really great group. I'm a new member, and Sam is a cool New Paltz alumni who has some special information to share.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, James covered a lot of the things I was going to. Thank you, James. It's all right. It's all right. For the most part, when you're flushing eyes, though, you just want to make sure that you're actually like getting into the eyes and you're not getting the skin around and having it flow back into their eye, because that could actually pick up the specifically CS gas. You know, it says gas, but once again, it is a powder. It's aerosolized in the air, and it'll contaminate you. So that's one of those concepts that you really need to like conceptualize, that if you've been exposed, parts of your body all over your clothes, your hair, they're now contaminated with the CS gas. And it does like have a half-life, and it does break down over time, but that can be hours, and you can also reactivate it with water. So you're just gonna have to realize that, especially if you have bangs, this is not from personal experience, but people I know, it gets in your hair, and then it'll, you know, your bangs, if they go in front of your eyes and they touch your eyes, you could reactivate it later on, and then you can also have another exposure. From that, basically, protection against it, the best possible protection is to have eye protection that has a vapor seal around it, so make sure that none of the air from the outside is getting to the inside. So when, like James was saying with the goggles, you want to make sure that you have a very good seal. The best possible protection, but it's a little expensive, would be to have a full face gas mask respirator that filters harmful organic compounds. So that's one of those things that when you're looking for filters, make sure it says that it filters out harmful organic compounds. Even with the half-face respirator, so the ones that that everyone has basically shown here, the half-face respirators, they're gonna leave your skin exposed, and it does create a burning sensation. I kind of describe it as if you had a really, really bad sunburn and you go back in the sun, like that type of feeling, but it's really only going to be temporary. Another thing, make sure that you're not wearing makeup or any lotions or oils on your face, because that will actually make it a whole lot worse, as the powder it traps it on your skin essentially. So you're going to want to avoid all of those. And then exactly what James said, if you have contacts in, get them out almost immediately, or have somebody help you remove them, or I would suggest not having them at all and using glasses. But they do have, you can get them, they're like chemical goggles, like I was saying earlier. Not just splash goggles, but that protect against vapors. Yeah, from that, when you're decontaminating, just like we said earlier, your clothes, you can either throw them out or wash them multiple times, but for the most part, you should be ready to basically lose whatever you're wearing whenever you're going out and you could possibly be exposed. The biggest risk for injury and even death with CS gas is the canister. So whenever it's being fired, whenever you hear it, if you're not looking towards it, you're gonna get your head down and protect your head, because those are the biggest injuries that you're gonna face with CS gas. The whole reason that police and law enforcement and everyone likes to use CS gas is because it's very difficult to get a lethal dose with it. The only time that it's actually killed people is when it's been used in an enclosed space. So if you're inside of a building and they're shooting it into the rooms and they have so much that you basically can't breathe, or if you have asthma as well, it could trigger an asthma attack, so that's something to be very mindful of. And it is heavier than air, so it will collect near the ground. So you're gonna want to be uphill, upwind of wherever it is. So if you can see the cloud coming towards you, and that way is downhill, downwind, you're gonna move that way and get away from it. Really, most of the other things were kind of covered with it. A lot of the things that I've seen out there as far as misinformation with protection against CS gas, a wet rag is not going to do anything. In fact, masks in general, if they're wet, are way less effective than a dry mask. N95, things like that. They'll offer a little bit protection, but you're still gonna get it into your system. Personally, when I'm exposed to tear gas, like I can barely cut onions, so it affects my eyes a lot more. And so I'd honestly rather have eye protection than respiratory. You're still going to be coughing. It's still not going to be fun. But if you have goggles that can have a vapor seal, you definitely want that. Don't use the little tiny cup goggles that they have, like the swim ones. If you're going to use any of them, use the larger scuba ones. If you can get it on quickly, if you see it, because those cup ones, even a small bump, or if somebody bumps into you, or if the police are pushing into you, you can actually pop your eyes right out of the socket with those. So definitely don't use those. But yeah, the best possible protection is to either not be in the area or to have that kind of respirator. So if you don't have that, try and if you do have it and you see a canister and you have good gloves on, get that canister away from the people who don't. Removing the source of it is a big thing. And also, so your gloves are very important in that. The canister will be very hot. So try to make sure that your gloves are gloves that could deal with something that's very hot. But there's really not much more information regarding that. If you have any questions, you can come ask me. But that's really just the gist of it, is trying to avoid contact and having a mask basically is the best way to deal with it.
Thanks, Sam. So I've got my comrade Royal here. Royal is hosting the Pleasant Valley protest coming up this Saturday and has some stuff to say about that. So welcome, Royal.
I know probably a lot of y'all have seen me before, and I've been out here protesting in the Hudson Valley for a little while, and I can't believe, I'm just gonna be honest with y'all, I'm not trying to get too emotional, but I just can't believe what's happening in the town that I live in. I'm pretty upset by it. I'm hurt, it makes me kind of scared to even come out anymore, because I wonder what people were really thinking and just never said to my face. I never thought that it would come to this. I didn't expect it. I didn't see this happening. It's hard to go out now. It really is. It's hard because, I just see through things now, when I used to thought it was all pleasant in the valley, right? And now it's all racist and fascist. And it's all bigotry and hatred, and I get kind of different looks these days. I think people might know who I am. I've been getting a lot of threats, and things coming from the other side. And I've heard things within the town about how they're going to be out there with their shotguns, locked and loaded on 44, ready to shoot. Like peaceful protesters, and it means a lot, that you guys are here, you girls and gals, and everybody that, is willing to stand and, be a barrier and remain peaceful and protect, not only yourself, but me, and everybody else out there, because, I'm not sure what might happen, to be honest, so I got that in my mind already. I'm ready to go out there and give it my all in a peaceful manner and have a good time, though, because if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down having fun with it. And I feel like that we have a lot of support through the Dutchess County Sheriffs. We've sat down and had conversations with them. They seem to be wanting to be protecting us. They seem to want to keep us safe. That's the feeling that I got from it. And the reason why I really feel that way is because, you know, when we sat down and we talked to them about how we felt, you know, it's kind of like now it's on their hands. You know, now that y'all know what's going on, y'all really don't want something to happen. Because if something happens and y'all knew, it's really going to look bad on them. You know, and don't get me wrong, they already look bad enough, I get it. But they really don't want that, you know. We've been letting them know about a lot of different threats, you know, and things like that. And we've been talking to different people in Congress and legislators and politicians and attorneys and the ACLU. And, you know, everybody knows that there's a threat of danger of death right now. So, you know, it would be something. But, you know, I'm going to go out there and I'm hoping that I can get as many people, you know, to definitely commit to being nonviolent, you know, and peaceful, and helping, you know, keep the peace at this event, as well as other things like picking up the trash, you know, handing out water, Gatorade, hand sanitizers, making sure people have masks. You know, I really appreciate y'all coming and, you know, being here for this and being here for me. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. You know, like we were saying, we got this rally Saturday. We're looking for volunteers, you know, peacekeepers, marshals, and we're gonna have a Zoom meeting tomorrow night, right, Royal? 7 o'clock tomorrow night. I'll be posting the Zoom link in the event page for today's event. I'll be sharing the Zoom link there. So, you know, we'd really love if anybody wants to volunteer. You can wear a vest, you don't have to, but we would love to have as many volunteers just help us facilitate this march in Pleasant Valley and really show up. We will be doing the Zoom meeting to prepare peacekeepers, marshals, and volunteers tomorrow night, and then we'll be meeting an hour early in Pleasant Valley on Saturday so that we're all on the same page, giving out walkie-talkies, whistles, neon vests, and providing the information you need to know to, you know, help facilitate the march. Like I said, I know it's a little intense, the fact that we have received threats, you know, about this, and I do want to assure you that the police have assured us that they're going to be, you know, pretty much, I mean, they've even admitted they have undercovers in our midst that are going to be marching with us. Some of you might be out here today. I don't know if there's an undercover here today. Raise your hand if you're an undercover. All right. But there probably is one here. They've admitted that they're going to be there tomorrow on both sides. I mean, on Saturday on both sides. And so that's why it's really important that on Saturday we are doing a non-violent, like non-confrontational march. And we're going to have some speakers, and we're going to build really strong community, and it's going to be a beautiful day. And we will be continuing to reiterate that we cannot engage counter-protesters, and we cannot engage in conflict with the police. We don't want to instigate the police or cause them any, you know, challenges at this one, because at this one they're making sure that no one drives into us and that no one comes to assault us. So we're going to kind of leave the cops alone this time. You know, it's never good to, you know, our tactics never involve harming police officers. We don't attack police cars. We don't do property damage. That's not the tactic of the Hudson Valley Resistance Team, and that's for other stuff that is not our work. So just want to reiterate that on Saturday we need absolute nonviolent, peaceful behavior. I honestly wouldn't even be surprised if the police are going to send a blacked out fake anarchist into our group to try to cause trouble and make us look bad. So I'm going to be like really on this shit. If any one of you undercovers are out there, I'm going to be watching for you. I'm telling you, you better not act up. But that's the thing. Saturday is going to be peaceful. It's going to be beautiful. And be aware that, you know, there will be undercovers there. So don't talk about anything stupid. Don't do anything stupid. But like I said, the police this time around they said that they've got quite a bit of hands on deck due to the nature of some of the threats and all this. But to be honest, I mean, these fucking ignorant white supremacists, you know, bootlicking cop lovers are a lot of talk on the internet, and New York is not an open carry state, so if any of these people really want to pull up with their fucking, you know, with their pieces, they will probably be dealt with pretty quickly. So, you know, there's some threats out there, but I really would, please don't let that deter you. We've got, you know, hundreds of people interested, but we need hundreds and hundreds. I mean, their numbers are nearing 1,000 is what the interested is on the counter-protest of the Police Appreciation March. So, you know, they're going to be at a separate location. We're not marching by them. We're not getting involved with them. We're pretty much going to try to make sure that these two events are completely separate and that we never come into contact with each other. So, yeah, they've just announced today that they're also going to be marching. At first it was going to be like a flag waving thing they were going to do on the freeway for a minute, but they will be marching. You know, that's their right. You know, I wish they would just do it on their own day and not do it on the same day as us, you know, whatever. But we are just going to let them do their thing. We're not going to engage them. It's not the day to do it, and it's not the day to die, you know. So, like I said, please don't let it deter you. We've got a really strong team, strong community. We're going to be, you know, networking from tonight forward. We're going to be having the Zoom meeting tomorrow. We're going to have the meetup early on Saturday. And I think it's really going to be amazing. Like, I just talked to USA Today about it. They're doing an article on us. There's going to be a bunch of news media there, which should also, you know, keep the other side from acting up too much. With all the police and media that's going to be there, our safety is even more assured because people hopefully won't want to act out on camera and in police presence. So I guess really that kind of wraps up today's workshop. Right now we can, if everyone wants to hang out and network, what I'm going to say is that, you know, Brady and I are kind of the frontline ally activist people that if you want to, you know, join our affinity group, or if you want any further information on how to provide frontline support, if you want to join us on the front lines on Saturday, we do want frontline people there because we will have police protection, but we also want comrades on our side who are willing to get in between counter-protesters and innocent people. I personally am happy to deflect violence from innocent people, and you know, I can do that if that's something you can do, and if you want to hold the front line and the perimeter and the back and do kind of people's security, me and Brady are the people to talk to if you'd like to get more involved in frontline allyship. Royal is also the person to talk to if you want to volunteer to marshal and peacekeep. So talk to Royal if you'd like to volunteer for that for Saturday. They'll have more information on that. James is the medic contact, so if you have any interest in attending those future medic training things, grab a hold of James. Talk about that with James. Not sure if Sam is still here too, so if you have any chemical questions, or if you want to join the Socialist Rifle Association, talk to Comrade Sam. And do we have a question?
Yeah, about the link for the Zoom meeting tomorrow. Where would we find information?
The link to the Zoom meeting tomorrow is going to be posted in today's event page, pretty much immediately, honestly. I think Royal could probably post it in there right now. I mean, they're a little busy, but I'll post that Zoom link momentarily at the top of our, you know, in the comments of today's event page on Facebook. So, Zoom ID, where is that? Oh, that's the one? Okay, so if you guys want to write it down right now, I can, or, you know, you want to plug it into your phone, it's like a 10-digit number I can read off, so I'll give you a second to write it down, take out your phone. The Zoom meeting tomorrow is 7 p.m. and the ID is 319-181-7660. That's 319-181-7660. And again, I'll be posting that as the most recent comment on today's workshop page. Thank you, excuse me. So anyway, yeah, thank you so much for coming out and, you know, trying to become better, more effective activists. We should all be really trying to keep that up right now. Once again, there's a bunch of water up there. Oh, also, I've got Protest 101 zines up there that are free. They're in the Antifa Humvee, which is the red wagon up there. So there's a bunch of free literature in there about protest safety and decolonization and policing and stuff like that. So on your way out, take some water, take some snacks, take some zines, and you know, before you leave, like I said, reach out to any of us that you might want to link up with, and you know, build an affinity group or you know, any further information you need. We're here for it. So thank you all so much. I hope to see you all out in the streets on Saturday and every day after that we all can be. So. And also, Billy is another member of the Hudson Valley Resistance. If you just want to learn a little bit more or talk more about organizing in the Hudson Valley, or where you can find out about events, Billy is a contact to find out about our groups and the kind of things we facilitate. So if you want to talk about events and stuff, Billy's available for that as well. And thank you all again.